We are people of all ages who enter this space bringing our joys and our concerns. We come together in hope. We greet each other warmly with our voices and our smiles. We come together in peace. We light the chalice to symbolize our interdependence and our unity. We come together in harmony. We share our growth and our aspirations. We come together in wonder. We share our losses and our disappointments. We come together in sorrow. We share our concern and our compassion. We come together in love. We come to this place bringing our doubts and our faith. We come together as seekers. We sing and pray and listen. We speak and read and dream. We think and ponder and reflect. We cry and laugh and center. We mourn and celebrate and meditate. We strive for justice and for mercy. We come together in worship.
Are there any announcements? I have an announcement. The weather has changed. It was about maybe, I don't know, 5:30 this morning, the weather changed.
So if you're up there on that hill, come on down.
Since we have important announcements, I completed putting the cover on our camper yesterday. I beat them. Beat the rain.
Okay, if there aren't any other announcements, we'll go ahead and have our morning music.
As logic stands, you couldn't meet a man who's from the future. But logic broke as he appeared, he spoke about the future. Never familiar. He was me from a dimension torn free of the future. All we have is now. All we ever had was now. All we have is now. All we ever had was now. All we have is now.
Okay, we're ready for our chalice lighting.
Thank you. We come together every week, bound not by a creed or a mutual desire to please one God or many gods, yet we are drawn together by a belief that how we are in the world, who we are together, matters. We light this chalice together in the knowledge that love, not fear, can change the world.
I have a joy. I still don't know who or what the JCs are, but they had a fall festival at Grinnell Plaza yesterday. I guess the concern is not everyone was wearing masks, but I guess at this point here, that's not too surprising. A good number of people were though. So, but we had a successful booth there for our children's museum, and we handed out slime kits, and it was a really nice day. It was a great way to spend the good weather yesterday.
I just want to say, I was talking to Dave Neighbors yesterday, and he's the gentleman that did the work on our building. And I just would like to light a candle for he and Carol, his wife. Their daughter and son-in-law were diagnosed with COVID up there in Billings. So Dave's concerned she has asthma. And so just be thinking about Dave and his family here for a while.
We had a family trip to Heart Mountain yesterday. And we were reminded of how awful that event was, and how close we can become to it based on today's political and cultural nastiness. So we need to vote.
I'll light a candle for our kids. In these times, our beloved granddaughter will be 1 next Friday, and we never imagined that we wouldn't be at her birthday party in Spokane. But hopefully we'll be able to see them this winter. I don't know. But we took a drive to, well, I dropped Victor off in Casper yesterday morning, and I went down to Laramie and had lunch with Aaron. I had 2 hours down there and then drove back up to Casper. So we had a COVID kind of encounter, and it was so nice to see him and see his apartment. And it's a sign of the times to realize how glad he was to see me and how hard it was to leave after 2 short hours. So to our kids and our granddaughter, we extend our love.
Don't be shy.
I have a joy and a concern. My joy is that the newlyweds got a little puppy yesterday and she's adorable. And the concern is starting to have seizures again and just hoping to get that under control.
I hope so too. I have a joy that my neighbor is home from the hospital and settled in her new home and reunited with her dog, at least during the daytime. So she seems to be doing well.
Good.
I have both a joy and a concern. Sam took the trip with us yesterday, and it was a joy to have him with us until he vomited all over the back seat. Life goes on as it should.
I have a concern. I have a friend who is bringing her new business, her mobile coffee wagon, back from Cheyenne today. And I just send her good stuff on these roads. She's pretty scared, so with the wind and rain. And anyway.
I have a joy. My my 3 brothers and my sister and I have been playing a Dungeons and Dragons campaign online via Zoom for a couple of months. And as adults, we don't really get to hang out with our kids and stuff. And so it's just been really fun to connect with them this way. So we do it every Sunday. So, I mean, it's just like a day that I look forward to because I get to hang out with my siblings and trying to find something positive in 2020, and that is it.
I have a joy. If everyone has a chance to go down to the library and see the beautiful fiber art show for the rest of the month.
That's great. I'm going to symbolically light one more candle for joys and concerns held in our hearts. And now Janet has a reading for a meditation.
Source of all, we pause in the stillness to rest for a moment, to quiet ourselves so that we can feel what stirs within us. Each breath draws us closer to the pulse of life, and with each exhalation, we make room for something new. May we find in this gathering the comfort of those who care. May we encounter patience along our growing edges and compassion in our most tender spots. Here may we find the inspiration and encouragement we need to face our challenges and nurture ourselves. And in the presence of suffering across the globe, may we redouble our efforts to practice kindness where we are, with the hope that the light of our actions travels like the light of faraway stars. May our gestures of compassion and generosity seed possibility. May we walk humbly with one another, choosing reconciliation over resentment as we try to live right-sized. When life presses in and shifts us off balance, when pain assails us, when frustration mounts, may the rhythm of our breath steady us and bring us back to a place of gratitude.
We're working hard this morning at Way Better Than Nothing Productions here. It's so nice to be here. I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Ian Wallace, and no one expected that I would be here every single week, practically, not literally, for the last 8 months. Something like that. Yeah, but here we are. And it's been an interesting ride. I won't hem and haw too much. I'll just dive right into my talk, but I did want to mention, as I wrote it, it felt very similar to several of the talks that I've given. And And I guess maybe I have a core idea that I keep bouncing around and presenting to you. So this week, that core idea is sort of being lensed through this term harmony. So without further ado, here we go. Harmony in music, while beautiful and compelling, takes great skill and practice to produce. The delight we experience when listening to harmonious music results from our mind's ability to appreciate the way certain notes resonate with each other. Resonance is a phenomenon where the frequency of tiny pulses which make up one note are complemented by a different frequency of tiny pulses in a different note. The two notes thus amplify each other, the chord resounding as something greater than what might be expected from the sum of the parts. These harmonic patterns are a fundamental aspect of nature. And recently, when asking my elementary school students to sort cards of different subjects in the library, many children chose to sort music into a group with such naturalistic subjects as rocks, weather, and planets, as opposed to grouping it with human endeavors like construction work and tooth care. This innocent insight bespeaks a deep connection between our perception of music and the very center of our being within the natural world. It is of the utmost significance that the term harmony describes both a musical phenomenon and our ideal social reality. So if harmony exists musically when different notes resonate in a chord, where do we locate harmony within humanity? Surely it is found in the caring interdependence that humans demonstrate when they are enmeshed in loving community. The evolution of language, which could be described as the evolution of language, which could describe the abstract and imaginary, allowed us to express the ideal of harmony. Beyond anything we had yet experienced, this ideal then inspired us to open up new worlds of possibility in human relationships. But harmony is something of a myth, which exposes an inherent gap between an ideal of which we are able to conceive and the reality which we face. Harmony is when things join together well. In this world, everything is temporary. Things are perpetually falling apart. And for humans, life is filled with misunderstandings. In seeking to fulfill our needs, we can easily find ourselves stressed by the complexity surrounding us. Tempus fugit, time flies. And in the face of life's impermanence, we are tempted to grasp at momentary comforts, which might put us at odds with our fellow humans. Collectively, our striving threatens the health of the Earth's entire ecosystem. Harmony then can seem ephemeral. How might we attune ourselves to the pattern in which everything joins together harmoniously? To experience harmony in a lasting sense is the greatest dream of humanity. There is an interplay between this dream, the idealistic myth of harmony, and the very real development of harmonious relations among humans. I believe that these two aspects of harmony in the human story are caught in a feedback loop with each other. The evolution of our sociality created a sense for the harmonious collective, which further drove our evolution as a social species. The pursuit of harmony is our greatest strength, but due to the power of this force, its abstraction is also the greatest danger we face. In the pursuit of perfection, people have been willing to make inexcusable sacrifices. The evolution of our capacity for social cohesion and cooperation resulted from our collective push toward harmonious relations. This push was a social response to those selective pressures which the unpredictable world placed on our distant ancestors. As a highly social mammal, the human populations which were able to operate more harmoniously were better suited to survive and thrive. In a tight-knit hunter-gatherer band, not only is each individual able to know every other individual, but each person is able to understand how everyone relates to each other. On the most basic animal level, this mutual understanding allows the group to function with a reservoir of trust, allowing for resilience and strength arising from their interdependence. The advancement of our social interconnection didn't cease at the animal level, however. Language was born out of the evolutionary push toward our increasingly harmonious interdependence. Many social animals employ systems of simple signs and verbal conveyances, such as warning calls and sounds associated with displeasure or contentment. Human sociality evolved to such a point that our verbal transmission of information developed into a self-referential plane of significance. What one of us says can resonate with another. The songs of our evening gatherings join the harmony of music with the wisdom of the ages. Language allows us to speak to each other across the depths of time. But I would be waxing romantic to describe hunter-gatherer societies as existing in some sort of utopian paradise. Life is hard for them. Hunter-gatherer people still struggle with interpersonal challenges, especially when larger existential threats challenge the well-being of individuals within the group. The world is an unpredictable place. And so as our social cooperation and cohesion developed, the imaginal harmony also served to problematize the harsh reality of the world in which we dwell. The ability to imagine meant being able to imagine a more perfect world, a more perfect time. Religions sought to accommodate the gap between the harshness of reality and the ideal of harmony. Performing rituals which carry us outside ourselves helps keep a harmonious society aligned with its ideals. Language and religion, then, were two tools which allowed humans to develop broader, more complex societies. But as the complexity of society increased radically, so did our reliance on myths and rites to maintain a harmonious society. No simple set of beliefs is capable of fulfilling the type of harmonizing function that we are able to imagine. Responses to revise and hone a more perfect system, while taking many forms, have ultimately been efforts to allow the increasingly complex human system to maintain a sense of harmony within an ever more complex world. Buddhism, Christianity, and Islam sought to provide avenues for individuals to live in harmony with the divine while continuing to embody their roles as individuals in growing empires of antiquity. Upon the advent of modernity, democracy and socialism sought to develop systems of rules and controls to arrange a more harmonious society. There is no way to disentangle the political from the spiritual. It is only a sense of harmony which seems to be able to exist now in this highly complex time. And it may be a very false sense indeed. The nostalgic reminiscence for a more perfect bygone time creates a dichotomy in which those who seek to reestablish the mythical harmony of the past set themselves in opposition to those who are seen to have polluted the society with their dissonant presence. Our desire for harmony then can twist society into its most brutal and inhuman form. It is in the name of achieving harmony that a fascistic subjugation of scapegoated groups is carried out. Similarly, individuals seeking spiritual enlightenment put themselves through punishing, sacrifice, and crippling asceticism, all in the pursuit of harmony. Cults as well simulate a harmonious society by exercising harsh control over their members' lives. Our Unitarian Universalist tradition, drawing on spiritual teachings from around the world and across time, allows us to synthesize, analyze, and create abstractions pertaining to the purpose of religion and the meaning of harmony within the human community. Harmony is not arrived at through outward actions. No declaration nor outward show of faith can make a community whole. Despite the temptation to create a narrative in which the lack of harmony is blamed on an outside group, harmony can never be attained through cruel exclusion or callousness or dismissal of an other, nor through conquest and subjugation. To resonate with our fellow humans, to be in harmony with each other, we must be humbled by our impermanence. We must let go of our hubris and dwell in the humility of our fragile and fallible human state. Our beauty is that we are formed through a harmonious rejoinder, a retort to universal forces of entropy and death. The harmony of the cosmos is a resonance of care and creation with the very catastrophe of existence. Now it's time to present the offering. Thank you everyone for your help in keeping the fellowship going. If you would like to write a check, you can send it to 1590 Sugarland Drive, number B, -206. And you can make that out to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Sheridan, and you can send that care of Ramona Stein. You can also go to our website and find the link to Tithely, which is a great way to donate to. Let this be an offering to sustain and strengthen this place, which is so sacred to many of us. A community of memory and of hope, for we are the keepers of the dream. Thanks, and now I'll let Janet say some closing words.
It was very never likely that we would end up here together anyway. But since we have, we might just as well make the most of it. We find ourselves in the midst of the harmony that has been ringing for billions and billions of years. It's playing our song. The day breaks once again. Shall we join the chorus? I gotta use that.
Well, I've invited myself back up, and I'd love to hear your thoughts, comments.
I've been having to take notes. It's really been a wonderful presentation, buddy. But I'm thinking in musical terms. I think I mentioned that I attempted Gaelic with a 6-part harmony in the past, and the jump between 4-part harmony to 6-part harmony was amazingly difficult. The thing about it overall is it's a greater number of people doing a greater number of parts. There are missed notes. There is dissonance, whether it's an individual or the soprano, alto, tenor, bass in the groups. It requires such practice and ongoing effort to do well. To basically do the greatest good for the greatest number, whether it's in the choir or for the people listening to it. And all of that fits with the norm of life, which is there is dissonance, but if we keep up the effort and keep aiming at improvement, frankly, we'll never reach perfect, but we will be helping each other get further along the path.
Thanks, Bruce.
I really liked your reference to harmonious relationships and how people strive for those in many ways. I also liked how you brought in perfectionism and how sacrificial and destructive that can be to harmony, because it's something, and it's a particular problem of our denomination. When you do leadership training, you find out that one of the ways we exclude people is trying to be in ruthless pursuit of perfectionism.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really, I really liked how you did that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like if there's a core to the message of my talk, it's that like maybe we can't help but being messy people, but in our awareness of our problems, then that gives us clearer insights into how we can help each other and take care of each other. So yeah, definitely. I have been thinking this last summer about letting go of expectations that I have to do things perfectly. And I found that is very refreshing to be able to see what actually needs done instead of, having some kind of anxiety about things not looking perfect.
So Ian, I really enjoyed your talk as well. And I especially liked the idea of the attempts of humans to mirror the harmonies of the cosmos and the interconnected web. I found that idea particularly inspiring. And I cannot help but feel a connection between this topic of harmony and the previous topic of, I'm forgetting the word now, covenant.
Covenant. Mm-hmm.
Because the same principle applies in efforts to achieve harmony that it's something that we strive for, but we don't quite get to. And I think covenant also is the same thing in the sense it's an ideal. And of course, picking up on what Sue is saying, perfectionism can really be destructive and an enemy of those efforts. But by the same token, to have an ideal to strive for, like harmony in human relationships, seems to me to be very much in line with spirituality. And I like the idea too that you brought in about these different religions, and perhaps all religions have strived to emulate the harmonies of the universe and to somehow use religious practices and rituals in an attempt to help us humans to get closer to that. That's somehow harmony is a spirit, the work towards harmony in human relationships is spirituality. It is love, and it is. I don't know what else to say. I'll stop there.
Thanks, Victor. I like hearing that response, and I think I could write more and hopefully more clearly on this idea that the harmony that is inherent in life is evolved naturally and somehow as a response to the chaos and the entropy that the world seems to be, filled with, and that then our own story as human beings is the point in life's evolution where that response becomes conscious, and it seems like a real gift to be part of a group which is then specifically talking about how seeking a better world is something to do actively and deliberately and with humility, and not counting on something that is going to swoop in or give us a card, if that makes any sense.
So I think when you talk about giving a card, you mean like some autocratic approach as opposed to a more democratic approach.
Yeah, I guess like getting a card makes me think of like a get out of jail free card or something, like once you are saved, you're saved, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore. Or once you are rubber stamped by whatever official organization, then spiritually you're covered.
You don't have to.
Life doesn't work that way, and neither should our ideas, if they're going to continue to improve.
If you get the card, you don't have to work.
Maybe so, yeah.
Can I thank you for this? This talk has given me at least a week's worth of stuff to think about, maybe a lifetime. I'm got so many thoughts jumbled around in my head. I don't have a lot of them very coherent right now, but one that comes to mind is what you just talked about, is that pass or that card. Sometimes I feel like day to day, minute to minute, what we're doing is constantly getting cards or not getting cards. And our efforts at any given time are our best effort or our best attempt to make the world look like we want it to look. In other words, our best attempt to get a card, at least that will carry us through to the next card. I don't know, that's the thought that just pops to mind. I'd be interested to hear responses to that.
Well, I would say that for me makes me think right away about the problem that language presents, because once we have the word harmony and we're attempting to use it to make the world a better place, it can very easily turn into something truly evil. And Hitler was all about seeking harmony, and he just went about it in the most brutal way that was the most brutal means that he had at his disposal. And I guess to be able to break down maybe what some of these things mean, like our mental constructs about what it is that we're looking for, what it is that we're working for, the labels that we put on what it is that we want to be or who we want to achieve. Maybe it's really important to be able to keep in mind how some of those things end up getting in our own way. And that's why I picked that song to start with, is this idea that all we have is now. And this whole human scene is very impermanent in the grand scheme of things. Like, even if we are successful in like spreading out to other planets and becoming, say we become a galactic species over the next few millennia, like even if we're that successful, which I'm a great hopeful believer in that possibility, but say it's an outsized chance, even if we do that and we last another 5 million years and we inhabit all sorts of curious worlds and explore broadly throughout the stars, even if we do that, that's a blink of an eye in the timescape of the whole universe, and eventually we'll be gone. We won't make it, right? And so to have that humility to say, all we have is now, and that presence that we have with the world and with each other, that can be really clearly felt. And we're evolved to feel it, we're evolved to be in tune with each other, to know what peace is. And to be able to reach that is only challenging because it is so deceptively simple, right? So it's just letting go and being present, which is something beyond language or before language.
I've been thinking about when I said earlier about the harmony being for the greater good, for the greater number. I was thinking of our nation, not just a choir. But also it led me to think about what we're aiming for. In my counseling practice, what I used to tell people is one of our main goals is for you to get to a better place. We're not going to get to perfection. I would say, if you are in a better place with yourself and with that which brought you in, when you leave here, we can call that honestly a success because you're in a better place. Maybe we'll talk again later after you leave, but for now, it's not important that we reach perfection. It's important that we get to a better place. And maybe that has to do with the idea that it's not the goal, it's the journey. The journey to improve, to do better in oneself and with others.
Thanks, Bruce. I like that.
Ian, I appreciated your talk. One thing that really caught my ear is that notion of striving hard for the harmony that we think is going to be what is best for everybody. Can drive us to something that is kind of surface, kind of, you spoke about returning to a place of harmony, and I'm thinking about the election actually, and how we need to be cautious not to just go for something that is I don't know, like where everybody is well, it's the notion of what you said of how how Hitler was going for harmony. I mean, that's not what is. It's that we've got to be really careful and keep just moving a little bit to one card at a time, you know, like, and once things have changed, which I'm hoping they will, we don't stop there. We are cautious to see where do we really want to go and be patient, but not lose sight of keeping to trying to make it better. And I want to mention an experience that I had when I began working with handicapped kids on an individual basis. I was working with a boy who had a very serious language problem. I think that we called it childhood aphasia. And I'd not learned really anything about how to work with this boy. So I was just doing my best, and I was working hard at making plans each time before I saw him. And then there was a time that I had to see him, you know, I had an appointment with him, but I had not had any chance to write a plan at all. And we had one of the best sessions we'd ever had. And it was because I had to be really present to him and take what was going on and work with it, not be so glued to my lesson plan and my perfection of my effort. It was all about him. And so that was a very wonderful lesson for me. And I thought of it, and you're sharing with it what you have thought about, you know, messiness of the world, and maybe that's really a growing and an expanding place. It's not bad all the time. Thanks.
Thanks, Georgia.
I wanted to jump in with George's idea. I was really struck also by your first choice of song with the Young at Heart choir. And I had watched the documentary about their choir, and it's always stayed with me. And it just reminds me of the value of seeking out and exploring multiple perspectives, because every time I hear them sing a song that I'm familiar with, like the Flaming Lips song that we heard, it means something totally different when I listen to it from their mouths as older people singing these exact same lyrics. So yeah, in my mind, that idea of seeking out difference or different perspectives, it brings a greater harmony, or it brings a better understanding that I might not have had just on my own.
Thanks, Katie.
I apologize for jumping in so much, but I'm bursting. Jolynn had a really good idea, which speaks to what you're talking about, Georgia, and that is that Hitler's idea of harmony was harmony of sameness.
Mhm.
Sameness. And what we're talking about, it seems to me, is the harmony that has to do with diversity and what that brings to us. There's a soprano, an alto, a tenor, a bass, and et cetera, et cetera. And so, you know, you had the same thing that Joe was talking about. It's not a harmony of sameness. We're talking about a harmony with diversity.
Thanks, Bruce. And something that's in my mind too, you know, back to my sort of the core of my curiosity is around our evolution, and early people, our ancestors, they were pretty much all jacks of all of their trades. So every different skill that hunter-gatherer people need, they all learn. And I think, you know, something about the complexity that we've gained creates a complexity of challenges on how we relate. I don't know exactly where my thought goes from there, but I think that, you know, maybe it's a truism, but the greater the challenge, the greater the reward in meeting that challenge, right? So we're at the most challenging point ever as human beings, but I feel like it's also very palpable, the incredible potential that we have to care for each other and to, you know, to be something that's really remarkable. And the irony, I guess, is that I think anyway, we only get there by being humble about, you know, where we're coming from and how hard it's going to be. So I thank you all very much. I think we're going to close out. If you have any interest in hanging out and visiting, that's fine. But I do think the board members, if you're present, we were going to stay online for a little bit on this Zoom call and just touch base with each other. We need to, before we do that though, we need to extinguish the chalice, don't we? Okay.
And those, you know, the board meetings aren't secret, so
That's
everybody.
absolutely. If you would like to be flies on the wall and even put in your 2 cents, that's thanks, Bill. That's absolutely true. Okay, we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we're together again. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so
Thanks
much.
for a lovely
Ian, that was very inspiring. A lovely job.
Huzzah.
Thanks, Ian.